news trading is rubbish. Only the mentors have blues on their screenshot. Why is it that the students have red? Now that I own a brokerage firm, I know what is possible from the back end. You didn't redraw $250,000, $300,000. You just called your account manager at the brokerage firm and they worked out those numbers for you, and that's what you're using to market whatever thing it is you're selling at the moment.
What's going on, guys? It's Sam Keys here again, and this is another episode on the 1% Club podcast with Sam Keys. And today we have one of the biggest fishes. You know, it's not even a fish, it's the whale. When the fish is big, it gets into a whale, and when the whale is much bigger, it's called a big whale. We have one of the biggest whales in the industry of Forex trading live here on the podcast. He's no other than the biggest, Dapo Willis.
Nice introduction. Thank you.
So it's going to be a very exciting episode. If you guys are watching, you definitely want to pay very close attention from the beginning till the very end. Like we do it every other episode. If you're just joining for the first time, this is Sam Keys podcast, and our objective is to help people get inspired and motivated by the story of other successful traders. In addition to that, the podcast is here to help strike a balance on controversial issues that has to do with the Forex trading space. If you're just joining, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and comment your name and where you're watching from. If you continue watching this video towards the end, you're going to see a particular point where you're required to comment your best takeaway. If you do that, I'm going to go through the comments and somebody's going to be going home with $100 giveaway on today's episode. I think since we have a big fish on the podcast, we should be giving much more than
$100,000 trading account.
You're gonna get $100,000 trading account on WFunded. You guys got that right. So you want to comment your best takeaway and let's know exactly how you feel about this particular episode of podcast. With all that said, guys, let's get started with this episode. Good to have you again one more time.
Same here, brother.
All right, so who is Dapo Willis? It's a big name. I remember a couple of years ago, about 4 years ago, that's when I came across your videos on YouTube. Before we knew it, we were featured at the Forex Millionaire Expo in 2024. That's last year.
Yeah.
That's where we met for the first time.
Yeah.
So let's know from your own perspective, who is Dapo Willis? Where are you from?
My bio.
Your bio. So guys, over to Dapo now.
So who is Dapo Willis? I don't think that's a question that I've really been asked. It's not something I've really thought about. Who is Dapo Willis? Well, who is Dapo actually? Dapo is a 4-year-old young child who was way advanced, way ahead of his peers, was already thinking about business, was already cutting up A4 paper into checkbooks. Was privileged to be close to his grandfather, who obviously was very affluent and had a lot of affluent people around. Got to see the movers and shakers of Nigerian politics and the Nigerian business space at the time. 4-year-old Dabs, 5-year-old Dabs, who was already thinking about business and owning an airline and owning a bank. At the time, there was a bank called All States Trust Bank. The owner was called bbecame. He was our neighbor. Tony Elumelu actually worked for bbecame. He was a senior manager. So what people see now is everything that has been in 4-year-old Dabs' head and imagination. I remember my mom used to tell me one story that there was an auntie that used to come to my house. She would just see me chilling in the living room and she would be like, Dapo, what are you doing? Auntie, I'm thinking. Like, but what are you thinking about? I'm 5 years old. I was always thinking, like, and I'm an only child. And as an only child, you don't really have that many people to play with. It's either you're in your imagination, your thoughts, you're playing with yourself, or you're surrounded amongst adults. Obviously, I've become of age. Started my first business at the age of 17, which was not successful.
Definitely. First businesses.
Obviously, I cried about that. But, I was happy that I was finally legal. 17 turned 18, and I was fortunate enough to go to the UK to further my education. I was just happy that I could finally open a bank account, get a driver's license and all that. When my mates were studying for WAEC, we did WAEC and IGCSE because I was doing the British curriculum. When my mates were studying for their final exams, I was writing down my business plan in prep class. Once graduation day was over, it was as if, that 100 meters gone. Let's go. And that was it. I never looked back. So even now, I don't even know who I am. I just know that I am living out my purpose through my God-given talent. you know, so that's who Dapo Willis is. So whatever it is, I can't quantify who I am. There's a lot of facets into who Dapo Willis is.
That's great. So in which city were you bred? Just tell us a little about your upbringing. Let's just have a little background on that.
Okay, so I was born in Port Harcourt City, 20th of April, 1994. I grew up with my maternal side of the family. My mom had me when she was really young. She was about 20. She had no business having me at the time, but she did. Shout out to you, Mom. I spent the first 10, 11 years of my life in Port Harcourt City. My grandfather was a very influential government official at the time. I don't know if you remember, in the Niger Delta at the time, there were a lot of expatriates during the oil boom before the militancy came in and spoiled everything. So I went to nursery school with only white kids, expatriate kids, you know, and then I went to primary school with only white kids, but there were, you know, shell kids and all that. And then once I was done with primary school, I was shipped off to Lagos because my grandmother, shout out to her as well. I remember my grandmother making an argument to my grandfather that, you know, we need to let this boy go to his father's side. He needs to have an identity. Yes, he was born here. Yes, you have all the money, but he is not really, he's from here, but he's not from here.
That's right.
So my grandmother made the case for me to go to secondary school in Lagos. They wanted me to go to British International School, but they said, no, I was going to get too spoiled there. So I went to a high school called White Dove. It was kind of like a balance between, you have AC in the pred class, you have AC in class, AC in dormitory, but you wash your clothes by yourself. So they tried to strike a balance whereby they were not taking me to military school, but at the same time, they didn't want to spoil me too much. So I think White Dove was the perfect balance for that. And I had a fantastic time there. That was pretty much it. So I did my high school in Lagos. I don't know if you've ever noticed people who are born in Port Harcourt but grew up in Lagos, they have a different kind of vibe and ginger.
Absolutely.
Like Burna Boy.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think me and Burna Boy have that in common. But both Rivers and Yoruba as well from Lagos. So when you have the Port Harcourt orientation and you come to Lagos, your orientation is top-notch. So I was primary secondary school education, and then I graduated from secondary school. I was the head boy.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think I graduated with flying colors because, to be honest, like I said, 4-year-old Daps all the way up to 16-year-old Daps was not present. He was just living in his head. I hated being around other kids. I'd grown up around adults. I wanted to own a bank. Why are you telling me about polymerization in chemistry? I don't know if you study sciences, but
in science.
Yeah, so you're talking about polymerization and ionic bonding, like nigga, give me that in this class. You know, telling me that sodium, that's how one boy go through sodium inside water. You know what sodium and water does? The explosion was crazy. We all had to run out to chemistry. I'm like, this is why I don't like being around these geeks. Get me out of here. You understand? Like, put me in a boardroom. Let me make business decisions. And yeah, I think I just passed enough to be able to get admitted into Coventry Business School in the UK. And then I was obviously shipped over to the UK. But unfortunately, when I was 12, 13, my best friend, my grandfather passed away. He was my everything, my best friend. This is exactly how he dresses. He's short sleeve like this and like this, and you know, it's a big boy, so he could do whatever he wanted to do. You know, I think like he talked like him, but he was taken away from me when I was like 12, 13. My family still ensured that I was flown overseas and I was still given the best education. So I discovered Forex trading just before I went to the UK. And then once I went to the UK, the rest was history. I was put in a perfect environment for me to thrive. I would never omit that part of my story. I was privileged to be put in the right position for me to succeed. Obviously.
That's very great and phenomenal as well. While you were talking, you also talked about starting off your first business at the age of 17 that wasn't successful. So we're going to come to that. It's quite interesting, you know, having this background and coming up to this particular level. Trust me, a lot of people can't relate because majority of the people you see out there in the industry come from less privilege. Let's use that statement. Yes. Like for myself, I was not born with a silver spoon. So a lot of people don't come from silver spoon, but they find their way to the top and they're trying to create a legacy for themselves. They want to be, in your case, that grandfather that's, you know, significant in the family and all those things. And trust me, coming up with such orientation, which is different from yours, make people think in different ways. And also, most times it turns out to be very controversial. Yeah. So my question at this point is, people born into affluence, majority of them just want to live their life, you know, just enjoy what their fathers, their grandfathers have actually.
By the third generation, the wealth is gone.
You see, so many of them have that. It's a norm, according to statistics. What made it different for your own case? Let's know about that.
I think, and I was just having this conversation with my mom. Anytime I talk about, even mothers are very emotional. Anytime you talk about maybe shortcomings during your early days, they tend to feel like they failed you. But one of the best things that actually happened to me in life was, you see, there's a concept called the rich dad, poor dad. Okay. And I feel like that was pretty much what my growing up looked like. I had my grandfather who, when I was born in the early 90s, was in his 50s. So he was at the peak of his career at the time. The Rivers State and Bayelsa State used to be one state before. He was literally the person who divided the state into two. He drew it. Like, we still have the sketches in the house of him literally dividing the state. Like, that's how influential he was. He obviously chose the governor of the state. So he was the guy. And I loved him so much. I had everything. All I needed to do was think about what I wanted. I had probably like 12 bicycles, you name it. Like, you know, there was a catalog, a magazine called Argos. So just rip out the pages, attach it. One of my aunties is going to the UK, submit the list. When she's coming back, I have what I have. I might not, if I ask for 10, I might not get 10, I might get 7.
Okay.
You know, so the Nintendo 64s, the SNES, all that. I had that courtesy of him. Because of him, I went to some of the best schools, you know, chauffeur driven and all that. So amazing life I had with my grandfather, living with my mom and her parents. However, I had my dad, my real dad, who I love so much. You know, my mom had me when she was 20 and my dad was 24. So think about it. Maybe when I'm 4, 5, my dad is just 29. Imagine trying to raise a 5-year-old, 6-year-old at 29 and the 5, 6-year-old, the boy's taste is crazy because your baby mama's daddy is a big man. So like, you got it, but you understand what I'm saying? So my dad was under pressure. But one thing my dad always did that I'm grateful for was the fact that my mom also made sure of this was even before I was shipped off to Lagos officially, even while I was still in Port Harcourt living with my grandfather, I was always coming to Lagos for holidays. Now, he's 29 years old. He's going through life, trying businesses here and there. So there are holidays I'll go to Lagos. My dad didn't have a car because he don't sell a car to finance one project real quickly. You get what I'm saying? Like, they're also trying to make it for himself. Or he's done a project and payment is delayed. So I'll get to Lagos and it was a totally different ball game. Like, I would have government vehicles take me to the airport in Port Harcourt, drop me off because Oga's grandson is going to Lagos.
Right.
I get on the plane, then it was Chachangi, Aero Contractors, Bellevue, and them lots. I'll get to Lagos and my dad didn't even pull up to the airport with a car. You know, so the reality, like in 45 minutes, it's a 45-minute flight, 50 minutes, right? In 50 minutes, my whole reality is flipped upside down. And then I get to Lagos and with my dad, you know, he had this house at the time. He just built it, but they never even screed the house. You could see still the line of the blocks. I'll be with my dad, but I had so much fun because my dad would show me around. He would take me to the projects he had. He's a telecoms engineer. So he would show me around and all that. And I saw firsthand what it took to actually grind and make money and what it took to persevere. If I didn't take life seriously, like I was pretty close to seeing what the streets look like.
Right.
And of course, my dad shielded me from it to the best of his ability, but I could clearly see there was a difference. And then I'll be in Lagos for the holiday, like on Ikorodu Road, because I'm from Ikorodu, right?
Okay.
On Ikorodu Road, I can almost tell you all the bus stops from Yaba. So you have Jibo, you have Onikpam, you have Pangru. I can tell you all the way because my dad, we would literally get on public transportation. Maybe that holiday he didn't have a car. Then I would fly back to Port Harcourt and my grandfather hears I'm coming back from Lagos. Boy is coming back. Everything, they're waiting for me at the airport. Like, you would not believe that this guy was coming from this situation and they'll pick me up. So, you know, you grow up with that kind of balance. When I fly back to be with my maternal side of the family, 24/7 power, security. My grandfather never really opened his door by himself. He was always, so for me, like I said, I was able to understand the difference between have and have not. It was clear as day. There was black and I was white. Now, when somebody has that kind of orientation, right, and he's also privileged, the sky is the limit.
Absolutely.
You get what I mean? I faced adversity that a Lapo baby, that's what you guys call it, right? I didn't face all of it, but I saw, because my dad wasn't doing so badly, but he was still a hustling man. There are people that we also went to visit that were doing way worse than he was. You know what I'm saying? I got to see what life could be if I don't take life seriously. So when obviously my mom and my mom's family presented me a fantastic opportunity whereby, you know, here I'm back home, I'm going back to play with white kids. I've got everything, PlayStation and all that. Like, in as much as I wanted to play, I was like, bro, I gotta make something out of myself.
Absolutely.
I have to. Like I said, when you put somebody with that kind of drive, that kind of realization, I feel like the problem with Nepo kids is the lack of gratitude. From my family, my maternal side of the family, my grandfather and my grandmother had only one boy. I was literally like the second boy because I was the last kid, but I was a grandchild. So my grandfather loved me so much. I feel partly because his own son, who was my uncle, was just a spoiled brat. He's probably going to watch this, huge disappointment, I would say. That is what entitlement can do to you. I was filled with gratitude because every holiday I was going to go and see the other side of the house real quick. Yes. I feel that was pretty much what stirred me on. I remember in school, in university, people used to tell me like, you dey hustle like say you na no get money. Like Davido, like I keep saying, like Davido hustles like he ain't got nothing to his name. Absolutely. But that nigga has everything. Davido's dad is about to launch a $2.1 billion plan. Do the math. And this one, my advice to parents out there that are going to be watching this and to your kids and what I'm going to do for mine, they need to have the balance from early on. They need to know both sides of life as quickly as possible. And I feel like another problem with Lapo kids is Lapo kids that work really hard give birth to Nepo kids. Because you don't want your child to face what you face.
Absolutely.
But that's rubbish.
That's rubbish.
Because you're destroying your legacy because you're going to give birth to a useless child. This is why by the third generation, wealth is erased. By third generation, Rockefeller is shaky. Third generation, Gucci, they don't sell the company. Third generation, by the fourth generation, the wealth is non-existent. Because the first generation worked really hard. They gave it to the second generation. The second generation would maintain because they saw their parents struggle for it, so they can appreciate it to an extent. But you see the third generation, because even the first generation spoiled the second generation. But what they actually do to the third is far worse. My grandmother had to remove me from that environment. See, you have to go to Lagos, my child. And in 2023, I flew back from Dubai. I went to Port Harcourt, and my auntie is the deputy governor of Rivers State right now, Dr. Ngozi Odu. I went to see her to congratulate her, say, auntie, congrats on your election. She saw me, I arrived with my full security detail and everything, you know how I roll. And she goes to me, she said, Dapo, thank God say you be a Yoruba man, because the boys we have around here, are nothing to write home about because of the entitlement mentality and sheer lack of exposure.
Guys, the truth is, if you're not told, you wouldn't know. Yeah. Sometimes people just judge people, feel like this and that and that. That's why I actually designed this podcast. Yeah. A lot of people need to know these stories. My story is different. Yours is also different. I know we may have the same destination, which is freedom. Everyone wants money, freedom, time freedom, and everything, but you need to understand your path. The sooner you realize your own path, the faster you get there.
Very important.
Yes, the faster you get there. Okay, so far we've learned about your background. Yeah, we've learned about the story. In fact, you are a reflection of Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Definitely.
You literally the book. If you've not read that book, go and read it.
Definitely.
Before I started having that paradigm shift, because the paradigm shift comes first before the result. Yeah. I made sure I read finance book like this one, and while you're talking, I could relate perfectly everything that you were saying there. Now let's go to another section which has to do with your business side. Okay. I remember you said you started business at the age of 17. Yes. Now, after this, we're going to go to how you started Forex Trading and all that. All right. Let's learn about your business at 17 now.
Yes, I'd finished high school and our house in Lagos at the time. By the time I was done with high school, my maternal side of the family now started to migrate from Port Harcourt to Lagos because of the insecurity and the Niger Delta militancy insurgency. So we then had a house in Lekki. And, I'd turned to a Lagos big boy at the time, going to school with chauffeurs and all that. But one particular holiday, I came back and in my room downstairs, we had a family friend. He was in the house and Baba was believing in God for a job. The way he was praying, Baba, they go Mountain of Fire at the time. As a matter of fact, I even used to go to Mountain of Fire. If I pray here like this, you understand? So I saw him and Baba was really, really worried for his future. I'm 17. I think I just finished SS3 or I was just about to finish. I saw how his future was so bleak. There was no certainty. Baba was scared. He was terrified. I said 2:30 a.m. in the name of Jesus, God, fire, whatever. Holy Ghost fire. I said, bros, we think they are both for you. What's going on? And he told me, he said, man, he really needs a job. That was a very scary moment for me. He was 26 at the time, I was 17. You know, I think he finished from UN and Suka to study elect. I think it was GE, you know, Gelera Electric. He wanted GE work. So he had come to Lagos so that my family could help him facilitate a job in one of the oil and gas companies. My auntie's husband actually had taken him to go and meet his friend that worked in General Electric at the time. And they had promised him, say, don't worry, I'll give your boy the job. And he had gone written the aptitude test and he was just in the house. He was waiting. That time on BlackBerry would they use. So you know on your home screen, you have your email icons, email and ID icon. You know those icons were there. So every day, Baba will wake up. In the phone, just do, go take out. He said, Dapo, is it the mail from GE? Is it the mail from GE? You know the strong mail now. Is it the mail from GE? Ah, God.
There's no other mail that matters at that time.
Bro, I was like, what? So you're telling me that these people had this man's faith in their hand? And I said, okay, when you went to the meeting to go and see the man just did for a hotel for 4 points. The chop pepper snail. That guy was his god at that time. So I don't want anybody to be my god though. Because your uncles and aunties, they all love you when you don't need them. When your parents are okay, when everybody's fine. Graduate from school first. Carry that CV and go and see them. Now, so come today, come tomorrow, come today, come tomorrow, come today, come tomorrow. You know, and I saw what he experienced. So I said, no, I need to take matters into my own hands. I have time. I'm 17 years old. I have to make something out of myself before I am required to go and meet anybody to help my cause. That was how I decided to do something. So at the time I decided to go into transportation logistics. I think it was putting together the business plan during prep hours that made me feel like today I don't even know my WAEC result. But I did write my Cambridge exam. That was what obviously helped me go overseas. But I was there, I was putting together the business plan and all that. And I'd calculated that my boss 18 seats, 1,500 naira per head. You know, say I be Port Harcourt boy, so I don't calculate Port Harcourt to Aba. That time 800 naira, I can't believe it was 600 naira per head or something like that. I don't calculate Port Harcourt to Oka, Firish and Egua, to environments for that area. So I calculated all of that and it was making sense. You know, business always makes sense on paper. Business always makes sense on paper, always, you know. So I had done the calculation, I'd done the analysis, everything was looking perfect. And then I decided to start raising funds for the business. I was 17 years old. That was my first come today, come tomorrow. So I said, okay, let me even try. You got to see the kind of people you have around you, and nobody was really interested in helping me fund my business. My mom, I don't think she was around at the time, so I had to rely on uncles and aunties, and nobody was really interested in funding my business, and that's exactly how my business died before it even took off from the ground. So that was pretty much it. However, I feel like when that happened, I had started going to Mountain of Fire.
Okay. I
remember one particular day I'd gone to go and meet one of my aunties that promised me she was going to fund my business, and she had told me I should come. So I went there that day. The way she was behaving, we could talk about the matter. She could talk. You could talk about the matter. Auntie, what about this? She said, so shoes, nice. So I remember in London, they go to talk on that level. You understand what I'm saying? Going to another dimension. Was that day I said, you know what? People are not going to give me this money I need for this business. I went home, I was sad, I cried. Tried to cry, the tears wouldn't come out. I think that's when the day I knew I was a man. You know, the day you know you're a man is when you try and cry, but the water is not coming out. Because you need to cry to feel better, but the tears just wouldn't come out. You have outgrown it. But that day I put the lights off and I prayed, and something spoke to me. I would say, actually it's a lie, nothing spoke to me, but I didn't just say something spoke to me. Because after that, the next day, the reason I say something spoke to me was, the next day I woke up, by 10:30, 11 a.m. I was having breakfast on the table. My uncle was in the living room. We were watching a movie, saw this guy making a lot of money, driving a very nice BMW Pike, living in a fantastic apartment in New York, Manhattan. So I asked him, I said, Uncle, what movie is this? And he said, I mentioned one thing. I said, please, could you press I? So he pressed I twice. And I could see the description of the movie, and they said this was an investment banker working for an investment banking firm. He's an investment banker / stockbroker. I was like, hey, cool. So that was what pretty much sparked my interest into the world of finance and all that. So like I keep telling people, rejection is redirection. I was rejected from one thing and I was redirected. And that's why I said something spoke to me that day. I said, don't worry. I slept like a baby. I woke up. I was like, whatever, you know. So all that energy that I had put into the first business, I just channeled it towards the finance industry. And I had an auntie at the time, came back from work, and I told her about it. And she pretty much told me, if you look at the back of the newspapers every day, you see the closing price of the stock market market. From there, the rest they say is history. I was able to make my way out from there.
Wow, that's very, very interesting. So let's get into another section. But before we do that, I want to know those who have been following this episode till now. So if you have been following, I want you to comment your best takeaway from his upbringing, because that's what we just started with, you know. So if you're just joining, tell us your name, because I really want to know who is watching, your name and where you're watching from. Don't forget to share this video to those people who've been talking about Dapo Willis, you know, who are talking shit, and those who've been talking good as well, so they can really know from what we are getting on this particular podcast. All right, let's dive into another section of this video. Now we're going to Forex trading properly. So Dapo, tell us, how did you start Forex trading? What inspired you after your first business that failed, which of course you didn't even start? What inspired you to go into Forex trading? And also tell us a little about finance and Forex trading. Let's learn about that.
Okay, so like I said, my very first business failed and I stumbled upon the financial market. I was supposed to trade stocks, but one guy contacted me on Twitter and told me, why don't you try Forex? So I decided to start trading Forex. So that was pretty much it. But I was 17 at the time and I just turned 18. So I was able to open my trading account. And you know how it is, once you go on a brokerage website, put in your details, they'll start calling you immediately like, hey, are you not going to deposit and all that? And I did that. And my first experience with trading was I wanted to trade news. And this is why I would always come on here and I'll tell people that news trading is absolute bullshit. I don't think the mentors who still encourage news trading still do it as much as before, because you burn through your audience quickly because people will just see that you're just using it to gather up rebates. After some time, people will just be like, this news trading, and they'll move on from it. So you find yourself constantly having to recruit new people because the old people don't like you anymore because they found out that you use a scam. Right? So I unfortunately was put in that same situation as well. I saw a group of people on the internet called the RCFX group. They're in Malaysia. I'll never forget them. If you're watching this, feel free to do hashtag RCFX on Instagram. You see exactly what I'm talking about. I saw they were trading news, but the news will come out when they post their results on Instagram. Only them have blues. My whole account is red. Only the mentors have blues on their screenshot. Why is it that the students don't have blues as well? Why is it that the students have red? You know, we see it. So I knew instantly something was wrong with this news trading. I didn't know that these mentors at the time had very close partnerships with the brokers. And now that I own a brokerage firm, I know what is possible from the back end. That's why when I see these little kids now and they're posting screenshots and I'm just like, you didn't redraw $250,000, $300,000. You just called your account manager at the brokerage firm and they worked out those numbers for you. And that's what you're using to market whatever thing it is you're selling at the moment. So I was a victim of that. Heartbreaking, but like I say to everybody, it's something that you need to go through. You have to go through that process for you to know that news trading is rubbish. You know, I tell them news trading will never get you anywhere, but the newbies need to go through that. It's just part of the process. After news trading, I was on to the indicator cycle. Fortunately for most traders who started off post 2015, they didn't have to get into the indicator. But you see, before 2015, indicators and robots was a big deal. I remember buying an indicator. May his soul rest in peace, but I don't know if I really want him to rest in peace. Because the guy sold me a support and resistance indicator.
For how much?
I can't remember. Was it $2,500 or something? Like, I don't know what the thing does, but if you click on it, it's a zigzag tool. So his own was,
wow.
Jehovah.
I remember someone on my podcast, that is FX Liar.
Yeah.
He said he was sold empty for $500.
Can you imagine?
So he didn't have a mentor, he had a tomato.
I sold me a support and resistance indicator. There's a zigzag indicator on MT4 that comes for free. But because his own chatting software was different, I didn't know apart from MT4, there were other chatting softwares like Sierra Chat and obviously recently TradingView. So because the chat looked different, you just put the zigzag indicator. By the time he clicked, this thing came here and said, no. I said, but where do you buy? He said, no. You're the one not seeing it properly. If you look properly, you see the market is turning around. I said, okay, I don't see anything. So the rubbish indicator that wasn't working, say you're the one not looking well. I said, okay, no, while I paid for that one, it wasn't working. At the time, Okpebi Allen had all the brokerage offices. So I used to come from Lekki to try and learn nothing, absolutely nothing. But all these things shaped my journey. For me, I like to try everything that I can try so that I can take it off and say, and one thing I would try and see something through to a logical conclusion so that I can sleep at night knowing fully well that this thing, I tried it. And I can tell you without any iota of doubt, it doesn't work. News trading, indicator trading, I don't want to speak about the rest, but there are a whole host of things in industry that proven over time just don't work. So I tried all of that, and fortunately for me, I stumbled on a very amazing man in the UK when I was fortunate enough to fly overseas, towering over me in the coffee shop, looking at my charts. I had Bollinger Bands and stochastics and moving average crossing everywhere up and down the place. And he asked me, a very simple question: how is your trading going? And I said, like every Forex trader, like, my trading is going fine. Don't worry about that shit. I'm not gonna worry about me. You gonna worry about you. Don't be asking me about my trading. No Forex traders, we don't ever want to admit that we're losing.
Absolutely.
And he said, I'm going to ask you one more time, how exactly is your trading going? I said, boss, it's not going so great, man. It's not going so great. And that was, he now helped me fine tune things. But it's something he left me with, which was very profound. He said, whatever you do, try and make sure that your analysis matches that of the investment banks that trade the market, because those are the people that actually move the market. So if you can predict the market and you can see that it's in alignment with the people that move the market, then you don't have any issues. He said, try as much as possible to look at things from a bird's eye view perspective. Zoom out. It's like Google Maps. You need to treat your charts like Google Maps. And how do you use Google Maps? You start from a wide angle, right? And then it starts to zoom in until you start moving street by street. That's why I came up with the top-down analysis. You probably heard about it, whereby I go on a monthly time frame. I do my analysis from monthly, weekly, daily, down to the 4 hour where I now execute, because it allows me to see the general perspective of the market. And then when I then scale to a lower time frame, I'm now able to trade clearly with a proper direction. Like Google Maps, for example, when you were coming here, you probably checked the map and your driver must have said, I got traffic day this way. Let me go like this. Same thing with Forex trading as well. On the higher time frame, my support and resistance are a lot more accurate. Most people don't really like to trade on higher time frames because they feel, it takes too long, my account size is too small. The truth is, you don't trade on the higher time frames. The higher time frames is meant for market analysis. So when you're doing whatever it is you're doing, you need to break your trading down into two aspects, right? Profitable Forex trading is broken down into two segments. There's the market analysis and there's the trade execution. So you want to use the monthly, the weekly, the daily for market analysis. And then you want to use the 4 hour. I wouldn't advise you go anything less than the 1 hour, between the 4 hour and 1 hour for market execution. If you can adopt this approach, your profitability goes up all the way to 95%, because you will take fewer trades, but more quality trades, because you can see clearly, you know where to put your take profit. Some people are in profits. But some people, I know people call me, sir, I was in profit too, but the market just turned out. It's possible that the market indeed was probably going for its last leg to the upside and was probably going to go and fulfill a technical level on a higher time frame. But because you were not looking at the higher time frame, you didn't know this. So you bought into a resistance. And what happened was, yes, the market will go in your favor temporarily, or the overall flow was looking like a bearish reversal. So, ladies and gentlemen, throw away the signals, throw away the indicators. You want to understand how to trade properly. It's pure price action, higher highs, higher lows. The fundamentals of the market has not changed. And it's not going to change anytime soon. Why? Because it is driven based on mass human psychology. Meaning that if this support day here, you see it, I see it, everybody sees it. So chances that when it reaches there, it will bounce. You understand? So if you can simplify trading to that regard, then we don't really have much to worry about. So once again, guys, top-down analysis is best trading now. Forget whatever everybody's saying, but shit.
That's interesting. Okay, at what year did you start trading?
So I finished high school in 2011.
That's exactly the same year I finished high school though.
Yeah, I finished high school in 2011 and I discovered Forex, I think the December of that year or the January of that year, of the next year.
That's 2012.
Yeah, so between 2011 and 2012. By the time I was leaving for the UK in 2013, I already had a good 1 year, 6 months under my belt. So I I'd gone through all the beginner issues. So by the time I got to the UK, it was now a situation of, okay, I've made all the mistakes. Now what works? I'm no longer trying to get rich quick anymore. Instead of giving up, I'm like, there has to be a way, so I gave up all the thought process of get rich quick. I gave all of that up, indicators and all that. I said, let's do it the boring way. Let's trade the boring way. Right. I'd been beaten down so much by Forex that I was now ready to trade the boring way. And it was the boring way that now led me to understanding higher highs and higher lows, Fibonacci pullbacks, trend line bounce, basic price action stuff, Elliott wave counts, zooming out on my charts, being patient, understanding that less is more, less trades is better for you. You get what I mean? So that's the boring way of doing things. And most importantly, if there's anything you're going to take from this video with some keys, is what truly transformed my trading was my ability to journal. Now, when I say journal, people are like, who has time to be writing down entry and exit? That's not what I mean. What I started doing was, before I get into a trade and the setup is forming, I'll screenshot it.
Okay.
Whilst I'm about to execute my trade, I'll screenshot it. And once the trade has played out, I'll screenshot it. So I had 3 screenshots per every trade, right? And I had a folder, I'll throw it in there. And then obviously with some quick notes as well. Obviously my analysis was drawn on the charts and all that before I screenshot it. And then once I have 3 of them, I'll write notes. I did this for 6-7 months. For every trade I placed, I documented it. What started to happen to me was my profitability started to increase. Why? Because I started to look at setups and I'm like, I've seen this before. In fact, before that, when you go through that folder, you abuse yourself. Say you're so stupid. Why did you get into this trade? Right. That's the fastest way to learn in Forex. Most people don't know. It's the boring way, is the fastest way to make money in the game. So I started to journal all these things. And people ask me, because when I do my analysis, I do a proper top-down analysis on my YouTube. For 30 minutes, I'm breaking down my charts and I'm showing them everything. The reason why I'm able to do this, and I tell people, oh, I'm not interested in this trade, I'm interested in, and I tell them stay out of this one, is because I've seen the patterns over and over and over again. I have documents of those patterns for me. I can tell you a profitable pattern just by the way the market is moving. I can tell you that this is a market manipulation move. I can tell you wait for the market to fake out. It's going to go in your direction, but it will go in your direction and go back up. Take your stop loss before it comes in your direction. It's called market manipulation. So it's a psychological thing. These are things that you only learn from journaling your trades, from experience, from looking like, oh, okay. That's why you hear a lot of people, I was right, but I got stopped out.
And after it gets stopped out, you see the setup go your way.
Yes, I was right, but I got stopped out. How did that happen? The market has done a stop loss run on you. I also started to realize that stop loss runs were more common on lower time frames. So I fleed the lower time frames. It cost the bank more money to do a stop loss run on a higher time frame. On a 4-hour time frame, it's more expensive. On a daily time frame, it's more expensive. But on a 10-minute time frame, 5-minute time frame, some boys be on the phone, in group chat, in Canary Wharf in London, and they're like, you know what, we want to fill price at a particular level, but we don't like the current price. Let's drive the market up. Once we take out all the stops, we can see all the stop losses above. Once we have a counter position for the position we want to drop, once it gets there, then we'll flood it. It's market manipulation for you. They want the market to go down, but when the prices is not so good for them to fill their order, so they will invest taking the market in the opposite direction. Now your stop loss is there. That's an order. Stop loss is an order. So they run those ones. Now you that your stop loss has been hit, you're now saying, like say this market no won't go down, it won't go up. So you're also buying as well. Don't forget the opposite side of the sell. The stop loss of a sell trade is a buy order. So what they can see is a whole lot of buy orders there. So they'll run the stops, clear out that place with all the buy orders. You too, you're also adding a buy order because you feel the market is going to go there. But they want to drop all the freaking sells and they want the best price. So there are a lot of buy orders there and they have a lot of sell. They get filled at the best price and the market just starts to drop. So you know what I do? When the trade looks too good to be true, I go wait for them to run the stops. When they run the stops, I drop with them. Now, OT, I'm a boy now. You know, so these are the things that come with experience and journaling your trades. I mean, I can go on and on. I've been trading since I was 17. I'm 31 years old. That's 14 years. I mean, you can't buy that in markets. You can't.
That's a lot.
You can't.
Guys, my head will explode. Let's go. Now we're getting into the hotter part of the podcast.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the business side of this industry.
Prior to now, if you had asked me this question, I wouldn't have been able to speak about it because I wouldn't have wanted to make people feel like what they were doing was the wrong thing by actually trading the markets. And the best way to go about it was to become an influencer or a content creator. But right now, I think with the amount of money I have in my bank account, I really don't give a shit. I own a brokerage firm and I own a prop firm that is bigger than me. I'm happy that I can speak the truth. Most people know me for speaking the truth in the industry. I think that's why they gravitate towards me. One thing about Forex trading is there are two sides to it, like you said. There are the actual traders who trade I used to be a trader, still I'm a trader, will always be a Forex trader. In fact, before I was a trader, I was an analyst. Okay? Because my mentor at the time told me, if you can analyze the same way the banks analyze, then you're good to go. So I stopped trading and I just focused on analysis until my analysis was good to a point whereby I was on the same level with the banks before I started trading again. So that's propelled me into another level, has made me Dapo Willis. I'm right 95% of the time. I have a significant amount of funds, asset under management, huge capital that would manage. That has tremendously helped me. So my ability to be a trader first is what has brought me thus far. However, as I started to grow in the industry, I started to understand that this is just one side of the business. There's more to Forex trading. So I started to understand that there's Forex trading and there's the business of Forex trading. And I think that was when, I just decided to go on YouTube to create videos because I wanted to impact lives positively. But once you start to gain a certain level of traction and people start to clamor for your expertise, my Forex Mastery course was free. It was my team that told me, "Sir, this is freaking crazy. You need to put a price tag to it." And I feel like that's why it's probably the cheapest in the industry, still $99 for it, So we've made over $2 million selling the Forex Mastery course. Now, when you see those kind of numbers, will I sit here and say we don't make money from it? I'll be lying. We make a lot of money from selling the Forex Mastery course. What makes me happy is the fact that the course actually gives value for such a low, cheap price. So the reason why I can even confidently say I make money from selling Forex courses as well is the fact that I know that the Forex course itself is delivering value. And people will watch this that have bought the course. They won't be like, "Oh, you made money from it." They'll be like, "Oh, guy, even if your course was $1,000, I will still buy it." When I put together the Forex Mastery course, it was 2020. That means I was 8 years in the industry. So in 2021, I updated it again. So I've done about 9 years in the industry. They say we don't do 9 years of something, has a lot to share. And I don't think you should share it for free.
Right.
And that goes when I see people comment and bash people, "Look at you, you're just a course seller, blah, blah, blah." Oh, God, listen, do you know what it takes to, first of all, put the camera on and speak into the camera? It's tough. It's not easy. Not everybody can do it. No. That's one. 2, do you know what it is to be able to articulate yourself? 3, do you know what it is to have the experience to be able to share with your audience? That's something else. And then for you to be able to package it and sell it and have the courage to advertise it. There's nothing wrong with information products. There's absolutely nothing wrong with info products. If you sell courses about Forex, go ahead and do it. However, make sure it is delivering value. So that's one side of the business of Forex trading. Now, the other side of the business of Forex trading, obviously, is the affiliates and the influencers that you see. The problem I have with them is I feel like a lot of people skip the Forex trading part and jump all the way into the business of Forex trading. You need to, first of all, be a qualified trader before you can make that switch. I think this is where the challenge lies, because what's happening is we're seeing people who have made their money from questionable sources jump straight into the business of Forex trading, buy expensive cars, talk about trading here and there. And before you know what's happening, they're driving traffic to a broker within their Telegram group or YouTube. They don't care about the audience. For them, it's just the money and all that. That aspect is a very, very big issue. But it is what it is. That's how the industry is. One thing about me I've learned over the years is don't hate the players, hate the game. In fact, don't hate the players or don't hate the game. Play, but play with a clear conscience. I'm not going to sit down here and say, people are bad for selling courses. People are bad for driving traffic to a broker. What did I do? I went and made a better course and I sold it better. Same with the brokerage as well. So I have no issues with the business side of Forex trading. However, I just feel like the people who should be allowed to be on this side are people who are qualified from trading itself. And that leads me to the next thing that I want to talk about, why a lot of prop firms fail. You see, a lot of prop firms fail because the people who are founding these prop firms were not, one, proper traders. You see, a prop firm, most people don't even know the full meaning of proprietary trading firm. They've never even seen a proprietary trading desks are real. They're in London. They're in the financial district in London. A lot of these people have never seen one before. They never even understood how the system works. What the prop firms do now is just a digitized version of those offices, those firms. So if you're not conversant with how proper proprietary trading firm works as a trader, do you really have any business founding a prop firm?
Not at all.
You don't. The second thing I found out happening was we also had people that didn't even know anything about trading, like businessmen coming into the industry. And for them, it was a situation of we have the product, we have the money to fund the marketing, we fund the marketing, and then we're going to launch something. Those ones crashed as well. And then we also have the affiliates as well that didn't care about their audience. And they will just run traffic because for them, it's all about the rebates. For them, it's all about the commission. They don't really care much about if people get value for the whole thing. So the business side of Forex trading is fine, but it's just how people are going about it. And if we're not careful in this industry, you'll get to a point whereby the general populace, when I say general populace, the traders who actively trade on these platforms are going to start losing interest in the game. Let me tell you a little story. You know, we just recently launched WMarkets, the brokerage division. We also have the prop division as well. I can tell you that for all the influencers that we signed on, for all the affiliates that we brought on board, I don't think any of those affiliates were able to pull in deposits. If this was 5 years ago, they would have been able to do it. I'll tell you what has changed. The Forex trading populace, the traders who actively trade, are starting to lose confidence in their mentors, because it is now clear as day that you are using my money. The fact that I am losing money on these trading platforms from your Telegram group, it is clear as day that you've put me in this Telegram group to give me false signals, whether it is false or true, but you are giving me, you don't care, provided that I trade and provided that you get your commission. So what's happening is I can now tell that it is my money that is buying you this Lamborghini. It is my money that is buying you this Cybertruck. So what's happening is when those affiliates and influencers now want to move from the broker that they're with to another broker, nobody's moving with you because they're like, you don't come again, you want to carry us, go here, carry us, go there, carry us, go there. Today, we're in Exness, tomorrow, we're in this capital, tomorrow, we're here. You get what I mean? They're not moving anywhere. You shout from now to tomorrow. Now the traders understand that, look, now we buy this Lambo for you. And there's more awareness now, courtesy of social media. With all these scandals, especially in the Nigerian Forex trading space, with all these scandals that have happened, there was a period where the blogs were having a field day. Because what's happened is a certain level of toxicity came into the industry. People are now more aware, like, okay, these people know they actually trade. They're not actually profitable. They're just telling me to trade, and this is exactly how they get paid. Unfortunately, this is the situation we found ourselves in. My advice to anybody who wants to get into the business of Forex trading is, if you're going to nurture an audience, please have the fear of God, because after some time, your audience starts to catch up on you. They start to know. And what happens to you is you're constantly having to recruit new people into your audience. You're not building anything sustainable. See, there's a natural progression to things. If you cannot afford to live a particular kind of lifestyle, the one that you can afford to live it. Don't put your audience in harm's way because you are trying to live a particular lifestyle or trying to portray what you are not. Because for that period of time, yes, it will work out. But for a long period of time, at the end of the day, they're going to be like, this guy that I signed up to, and you don't really need that, because you're not just building people to pay you affiliate income. You are building a tribe. You are building a tribe. Have you been good to your tribe? If you can build a tribe, they're ready to die for you.
Right.
But if your tribe sees that you're the type that is always taking from them and you are scamming them and you are using them to live a kind of lifestyle, after some time, they're going to pull away. I can guarantee you right now, I don't really think the affiliates in the industry are able to pull in the kind of numbers they'll probably be able to pull in 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I mean, I run a prop firm, I run a brokerage firm. As a matter of fact, we're about to phase out even working with influencers per se. Yes, because an influencer will tell us he wants $15,000, $20,000. If I spend $20,000 on ads, I know how many traders we can pull in with that. Also, I want you to understand something. I want you to also look at a pattern. Haven't you noticed that prop firms don't really sponsor traders again? It's just Funded Next and a couple of other. Remember during the hype of prop firms?
Prop firm, 2023.
Everybody was an affiliate, but go on Twitter and check. Those badges are gone.
All right.
Because it's starting to catch up. The prop firms are like, it doesn't make any sense. Why is one trader jumping from platform to platform to platform? You see that jumping from platform to, it kills your credibility in front of your audience. So these are one of the challenges. Like I said, is absolutely lucrative. Nothing wrong with being in the business of Forex trading, but first, be a good trader. And secondly, have the experience to be able to handle this, because we saw an influx of Forex traders go and start prop firms. All the prop firms have collapsed and people wonder, but what is Dapo Willis doing differently with WFunded? You know, I think that's a question I've been getting recently. The challenge is most of these people that started these prop firms, like I said, either just regular guys that knew nothing about trading or affiliates. We don't even call them traders. Snapping in front of Lamborghini like this, beside private jet, and posting it on Instagram and saying click the link in my bio is easy. So we can go out right there. Anyone takes 5-10 seconds to do that. But running an enterprise is totally different. You need to track the metrics. Influencers feel that just because they're able to promote somebody else's business, they feel like they can start that same business and that business will do well as well. It's a lie. My office, you see them every Monday, we are killing our brain. How can we stay ahead? What can we do? How can we be innovative? How can we be ahead of the curve? I don't know if you've noticed, but I've not really been that active on social media. On YouTube, I will never leave YouTube, but on Instagram is distraction. I don't really care much about that for now because I have businesses to build and not just build, but to sustain. Trust me, a man that is building businesses and is making sure that they are sustainable is not really in the mood to be taking pictures. Because on Monday morning, like, you're not in the mood, take that camera out of my face. This is the first podcast interview I'm doing in maybe about 9 months. I've not put any camera here. I'm not interested in talking to anybody. I just want to be with my team, my staff. We're over 80 of us. We're building department by department. We're building sales department. Sales department, there are over 20 of them. Marketing department, there are over 7 of them. There's back office. People who ensure that people go from phase 1 to phase 2. We have operations. We have HR. We have admin. We have finance. Like 9 departments. That's on problem. We have brokerage as well. The same thing replicated is not for the type of guy who just takes pictures in front of the social media. That is why you can see that affiliates in Forex industry, former owners, after their prop firm has collapsed, they've now gone back to promoting brokers. Yes. You see, I tweeted about it. This caused problem.
Right.
I said, what's going on? I saw it coming because, you know, everybody wants to jump on a particular bandwagon. They want to go in there and see what's happening.
Yeah.
When they reached there, they realized, it's not exactly how they thought they were just going to come into the industry, just sell accounts, use the money, and they thought it was another avenue for them. It's just good that you are promoting other people's platform, but you see, to actually build a platform and make it sustainable and have overhead, you have payroll. This office alone, the staff is today, at the time of recording this video, is towards the end of the month. Today is what, 28th?
Yes.
So our Nigerian staff alone, our overhead is 30 million naira every month. This is excluding operational costs overseas. This is excluding our platform costs. Just our Nigerian division, African division, 30 million every month. Wow. So if you're not the type of person that understands business and understands the longevity of things, that understands building a customer base and understands long-term thinking, you ask yourself, why am I spending 30 million naira every month when I can be using that money to flex? Most people in the industry will use the money and go and buy cars and all that.
Right.
I think for WFunded, our monthly budget is about $70,000 a month running cost.
That's a lot, man.
That's a lot. Anyhow, we have brokerage, which is probably about similar. I think that's a cyber truck every month.
That's right.
It just goes out to make sure that everything, yeah. But for me, like, bro, come on. That's another thing that I feel Nepo and Lapo babies differ.
That's right.
No offense to the Lapo babies, but they feel is setting to make it known that they have arrived. But Nepo babies have been living the lifestyle all their lives. You can tell a man that is wealthy from a man that is rich.
That's right.
It's very different. Long-term thinking. I don't have to prove anything to you. How you know a wealthy man is a man that doesn't feel the need to prove anything to anybody. If Aliko Dangote pulled up right now in an Uber, you still greet him. He doesn't care. You call Aliko Dangote a poor man, he will laugh at you. But I feel like rich people feel the need to prove where they are not.
With what you just said, I think this is just the stages and levels to it.
Yeah.
At first, coming up from the trenches, you want to prove that I'm out of the trenches. I am rich now.
Definitely.
Then there's a level that you get to, you figure out that, okay, all these things are trash, trying to prove a point. And from there, you now get into the phase where you want to build wealth.
Thank you.
Where you'll be focusing on businesses that you own, not the one you're promoting for somebody else. I think these are just phases. 20s. And I also believe that this has a lot to do with age as well.
Yeah.
When you're in your early 20s and you got some bucks early, you want to prove a point that you became a man too fast.
Yeah.
Do you understand? You want people to see that, hey, this guy's significant. He's 19, he's 21, he's 22. I just bought my first Lambo at the age 25. You know, we want people to see that, okay, he's a man. But when you meet people who are literally older, the way they approach money management,
Different.
even lifestyle is just different. They are not thinking of, I want to make the highest statement in my 20s.
Yeah.
They are thinking of, how can I be valuable and also be significant in my 50s in this industry.
They want to build a legacy.
They want to build a legacy, something that can pass on to the next generation and the generation after. Yeah, so that's really my perspective, about this.
So we did a survey on our ideal follower avatar, meaning the bio of the average person that follows Dapo Willis and is part of the Willis nation, so to speak. And we noticed that ratio-wise, we had more people from the ages of 24, 25, 26 and above. Lower than that, not so much. And I was like, what's going on? And my team told me, bosses, first of all, it's nothing to worry about. Secondly, you just don't dress like them.
That's right.
You don't talk like them.
That's right.
Like you wear a suit half the time. So, and I think it's very important for you to know who your audience is and you want to serve. So I'm here to serve. And if you can serve enough people, serve them with all righteousness, serve them with your God-given talent, ethically, legally, you'll be a very wealthy person, without a doubt. Forex trading is just one of the vehicles. You can go across any sector. If you're here to serve and you can serve as many people as you can. Sometimes when I record a video, I'm just like, my hair doesn't look great, but it's not about you. This video, you're putting it together to go and serve and to touch people. People want to learn. So sit your ass down, put the damn camera on and tell these people what you want to tell them and help somebody's life somewhere around the world, so that's pretty much it.
That's a big one. So he is taking it. All right, now let's go to the exciting part of it. We're getting into the controversial side of trading in less than 1 minute. Brokerage firm or firm?
Well, as somebody who owns both, I would not tell you one or the other. I'll just quickly touch on the positives and negatives of both of them. You see, prop trading is for people who don't really have access to that much capital. I think our cheapest account is maybe $40 for 3K, $500 for 100K account. $500, you can potentially access $100,000. So they want to use that $500 and make their way as quickly as possible. Nothing wrong with that. However, anytime you want to use a small money to make it big money, just know that the barriers of entry or the barriers to success will be higher. It's just how the world works. Because the way prop firms are designed, you have to go through phase 1 and phase 2. You need to prove to the prop firm that you are worthy of their capital. Most of the time, traders struggle to prove this to the prop firm. That is why for every 1,000 traders that passes through a prop, depending on the prop, I don't know what rules they have. I think the industry standard is maybe 2%. I think we have the highest pass rate and payouts, especially with a recently released single phase program. I think we have maybe about 12%. It's huge. WFunded is the easiest prop firm to pass. Don't forget, click the link down below. But we still have people who know how to trade but don't have access to the capital. So prop is fantastic for them.
Okay.
But understand that phase 1 and phase 2, you need to calm down and pass it. Don't think just because you paid $500 that you get there and then they breach your account, you start shouting. Nobody scammed you. You just got there and you fumbled. So understand that prop trading is not just for any and anybody. You have to be ready. It's like putting a thread through a needle. I can put a thread through a needle. You can put a thread through a needle. But you need this light to be on and you need to look that it very well. You have to put it like this, and once it comes out, it's just right and it's a lot of resources at your disposal. That's prop trading. So it has its pros and cons, but the reward is huge. Now, if you're the type of person that doesn't really have access to that much capital, do that, but make sure you're disciplined and you stick to the rules. And by all means, you can be extremely successful. Brokerage, which is the question you asked me, right? Brokerage is very different. The capital is yours. You do whatever you like. Nobody's breaching your account. Nobody's telling you this, blah, blah, blah. But the downside to brokerage is lack of capital. People don't have access to capital. If you're the type of trader and you have $0 to $2,000, I would advise prop trade. This is my advice.
All right.
If you're a person, you have $5,000 and above,
Broker.
deposit into your brokerage firm. I mean, downstairs, you saw the sales floor, right?
Yes.
So they're divided into two. One is for WFunded, one is for WMarkets. When customers call in, a lot of customers, we have over 100,000 people on our database, huge. And we're projecting to have 1.1 million by the end of the year, huge. When people call in, sometimes they're like, I don't really know what to do, which one to go for. I'm confused. I'm trying to make up my mind. They will ask them a question. If you were to invest in your trading, about how much money do you think you have inside? When they say, oh, actually, I was thinking of starting like $6,000, tell you, we're going to get an account manager from WMarkets to call you. We're going to put you need to deposit that money to your brokerage account so that you can calmly grow your account without any headache. But if you come and say, maybe I have $400, $500, $600, realistically, you cannot become rich with $400. It's not possible. So we'll advise the trader, look, split this money into small. Buy like 4 accounts. Last, even if you know past the second one, you go past the third one, the second one, third one, or fourth one. So for me, this is exactly how, and for us on as establishment, this is how we try and guide our traders. Because at the end of the day, for me, I really want these traders to be profitable. There's no better testimony than WFunded or WMarkets helped me fund my success story or was part of my success story. So both of them have their good and bad sides.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Now let's ask another question quickly. Swing trading versus day trading. Which would you go for?
I used to bash day traders before social media, but I can't do that anymore because we have trading platforms whereby we have both types of traders. You don't want to say something now before I go downstairs now. We've had almost $2 million withdrawn from our brokerage platform because I've said the wrong thing. So I have to be careful now. I'm politically exposed at this point in my career. However, what I've grown to learn is less is more in the industry. This is what I'll just say. Less is more. The less trades you place and the more quality trades you place over a period of time, it's better for you. You start to see more results, better results. It's better for your state of mind. The market was never really designed for people to sit down in front of their computer. This industry is actually a vehicle, a transformation vehicle that is supposed to help you grow your capital. If you now want to take it from a growth vehicle to a get-rich-quick vehicle, that means you've turned it into something that it is not, which is now you are calling in the family member of Forex trading, which is gambling, because they're cousins.
Yes, they're cousins.
Very related, very identical. So the line between day trading and gambling is there, but it's very blurry. And that's why I don't really gravitate towards day trading. But there's still traders that make it work for them. I mean, we own trading platforms. We can see the back end, the result, and we can see that people are still using day trading to actually make money. But from what I can see from traders' results, the traders who hold their trades for longer periods of time, most often time are the most successful traders on our platform. So I'll say the swing traders win.
All right.
I don't make the rules. Swing traders win. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that. Okay, let's get to more exciting part of this podcast, guys. If you've been watching from the beginning, you understand that we had a progression in this podcast from the childhood experience, then into the business part, and also coming into forex trading. Now we want to get into the audience part. So let's talk about the controversies on the internet about Dapo Willis. On Twitter, you see this buzzwords, then you go to Instagram, you get this with the popular hype. I think earlier this year we had Mr. $95 million man.
Yeah.
Let's hear about that. Last year it was $50 million.
Yeah.
And this year it is $95 million.
Yeah.
And very soon it's going to be $300 million.
Yeah.
It's happening. So what is the brain behind this?
First of all, the whole 95 million, I don't think I've ever addressed that, on a podcast or something.
Okay.
But how did $95 million come about? I think it was 2024. The trading year wasn't exactly one of my best. Obviously still a profitable trading year, but the dollar index was in a nasty range. And anytime the dollar index is in a nasty range, every pair is just choppy back and forth here and there. So I like to trade the majors, right? Euro USD. I like to trade AUD USD is one of my favorite pairs to trade. But I was, trying to get into AUD USD. Maybe I was getting 20, 30 pips, or I was getting stopped out for break even. Now, people who know me know I hold my trades for an extended maybe 1,000, 1,500 pips. So to be getting trades that will go into 200 pips and come back and stop me out for break even was very frustrating for me. So towards the end of the year, and one thing about me, the top-down analysis has never failed me. When you believe in your strategy, you just go and sleep it and come back another time. So I didn't really do much of trading in 2024. I was just chilling and observing. I was running Willis Capital at the time. Thank God Willis Capital was around. If not, I would have lost my mind. I had other things to do, like run my businesses, and just live my best life. However, beginning of Q3, I started to notice that the S&P 500 was starting to align for what was going to look like a potential 1,200 pip move. With my analysis on the top-down analysis, I could tell the probability of it working out was probably like 98%. I was excited. So finally, and obviously I have my obligations to our investors to perform X amount every single year. And that year, we had already done so well because of the dollar index that was obviously clearly ranging. So obviously I started to load up my S&P 500 trades, all the trades that I placed. I was analyzing them on my YouTube or Trader Talk. It's one of the most popular segments on my channel where on a bi-weekly basis, I go and analyze for almost 35 minutes and I show people what I'm about to trade. So I'd obviously told everybody S&P 500 is about to save the year. S&P 500 did save the year. It was so good that, it rallied. And one thing about S&P 500 is it would rally pretty smoothly, and even if it wants to pull back, it usually would pull back into a 50 Fibonacci level on a lower time frame. So for example, it's rallying, the pullbacks, if you go on the 4 hour, you can literally see the low within the trend. You can see the low, high if you do. So I was able to not just trade the trend from the bottom, but I was also able to compound my positions throughout that 1,200 pip journey. 1,200 pip journey, and you have access to a significant amount of capital. I think at the time our AUM had just touched 215M, asset under management. So if you got $215 million sitting in a trading account and you're able to compound on a particular move of 1,200 pips and you're stacking your positions, making $95 million is not exactly that difficult. So I wrapped up the year I was in Dubai, and just like how I address my audience, I was telling them, like, guys, it's come to the end of the year. S&P 500 has saved the day. Even AUD USD still came through and gave us about 260 pips. And this is exactly how much we've been able to cumulatively make. It was actually slightly above $95 million. But by the time the market pulled back and were able to settle our positions, that was pretty much the ballpark figure. So I was like, this has been an amazing trading year, a year that we thought was going to be absolutely horrible. We've gone on to make approximately $95 million this year. I finished recording the video, sent it off to my team. They chopped it up and they uploaded it. I go to sleep, I wake up, I got messages on my phone from my brand manager telling me that, sir, you are trending. Oh, I'm like, for what happened? Like, what am I trending for? Like, last time I checked, I've been minding my business, trading and running my prop firm. So you're like, it's $95 million. I thought it was a joke, bro. I started to get insults from, would I say, big names in the industry. People were starting to troll me, telling me you're on drugs, you are a liar, you are a this, you're a that, and I was like, okay. I mean, if people who don't have Twitter profile pictures without any bio are trolling me, it's understandable. But when you now have people that have their own audience who are supposed to be industry heavyweights and titans, taking time out of their day to come and troll me, now this is when I was now interested in the situation.
Okay.
So what did I do? I got on the plane and I flew to Lagos, Nigeria. I was coming back home for holidays anyways. Obviously, I was back home and the back both continued back and forth. So obviously, I'm seeing as everything unfolds, and to me, it was funny. And it was funny for a couple of reasons. First reason why it was funny was I was highly disappointed, I didn't mind if trolls were talking about it, but I was highly disappointed that it was coming from other industry participants that I had shared platforms with in the past. These are people that I have met with. These are people that, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think we had any issues. to see them now actively go out of their way to try and discredit my personality was a very unfortunate situation. But like I said, that really got me interested. So what did I do about the situation? I'm Dapo Willis at the end of the day. There's no way you are going to come and try and discredit me that you're not going to also receive one or two. I was born in the Niger Delta. My mates, did they carry machine and AK-47 inside the forest, the creeks? Did they carry gunboats? Just because I did wear suit, they look fresh, no mean say you could talk to me anyhow and I'll leave it like that. So I allowed people to say what they wanted to say. And then I started to address them one by one. One of the most popular tweets that I put out was the fact that you can say what you want to say. I've said what I've said. You're going to have to deal with it. However, one thing I do know is I've never ever made a dishonest income before in my life. Everything that I've done with the fear of God. But can you guys come out and justify the life that you are living? I know how much they pay affiliates. The money you are spending is not from trading income, so you need to come and justify this. I told them I laugh in FBI, Interpol, and EFCC. And that if anybody wants to say anything again, they need to come and meet me at EFCC office in Ikoyi with their laptop. And let's see who will really walk out of the office. Actually, EFCC might be a bit compromised. Let's go into FBI's offices in Ikoyi too. Let's go there and then let's talk. Drop your passport, drop all your devices. I told them, meet me in FBI's office. Let's have the trading competition. Then the winner is who walks out of there. That's how I responded. And then people started to go radio silent. So at the end of the day, I know what people get up to. Just because I don't say anything about it, just because I don't try and discredit anybody, does not mean that you should wake up in the morning and want to run your freaking mouth. You might not live to see the end of the week. Don't throw stones in the glass house. You know that you have skeletons in your cupboard. A man has come up and he has told you that it's been a tough year. However, things have turned around for the better and this is how much he has made. Why do you feel the need to discredit him? Has he ever gone out of his way to discredit you? No. That's one. Secondly, he also did something for me, like we would say, paradigm shift. When I saw how other big names were reacting to the figure, $95 million, it just made me realize that nobody's really thinking on this level. Say, bro, you're in a space on your own. And that was the day I stopped replying the tweets. As a matter of fact, I told my brand manager, I'll tell you, I don't think I've tweeted much since that whole thing. It's a different level now. You know, you have become an institution within this industry. It just made me realize that for them, it's all about the expensive cars and stuff like that. But for me, I'm building a legacy here. This brokerage platform, this prop firm will outlive me. I'm building systems here. I'm building corporate governance policies within this establishment. And one day I will step down as CEO of these companies and they will continue to thrive. For me, it's beyond just what we can post on social media. I feel like once you've made money to a point whereby your headspace is at that point, I don't really think you should be bothering yourself with what a lion can never bother itself about the opinions of wolves and dogs and chihuahuas. So for me, it was very liberating, actually. I was just like, you lot are not even on my level, bro. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, all right, cool. And I also said to myself that I was never ever going to bring myself down to that level to interact with such caliber of people, because I don't think we should, talk. And unfortunately, everybody else's prop firm and whatever thing it is they founded shut down. So I said, I think I'm going to allow the things I've built speak for me. And as you can see, they are speaking for us. We're the only Nigerian registered Forex brokerage company in the world right now. We are the only African-owned Forex brokerage firm to own a prop firm that has the Meta 5 license. What took down every other prop firm, we were able to overcome. People lost their MT5 license. Remember that time that we had to switch?
Right.
Did we
I remember that.
We switched.
Yes.
And we switched back.
Right.
So for me, this is my response to everybody. Look at what we built. You do your thing, and I will never discredit anybody. If you feel like doing all what you're doing is how you put food on your table, then who am I to judge? You get to a point in your life, and this is true liberation and freedom, when you get to a point in your life whereby you don't care what the next man is doing, because you are so focused on where you are going to and how big of a deal where you are going to is. Whatever anybody is doing, You're just like, cool, this is where I'm going. You hear what I'm saying? Like, I want to be on the Forbes list. The kind of people that I like to listen to. Uncle Aliko is such an inspiration to me, and I just want to talk about him, briefly. You see, when I grew up around very wealthy men due to my grandfather. And when you hear the way they talk, it's a different ball game altogether. The Dangote group was generating $5 billion a year between its cement division, its agro-produce division, salt, sugar, and the rest. $5 billion. When Dangote went in to build his refinery, it took him about 8 years to build it. Dangote announced at the refinery that with this refinery operating at full capacity, our group's revenue is going to 6x, meaning that they are going to go from generating $5 billion a year, actually it's 5 point the fraction, to $31 billion a year. That's my competition.
Wow.
So you think somebody who's generating $31 billion a year is building refineries and doing things, then you think I have time to be debating with one or two rascals. I don't really have time for that. Like, that's the benchmark. Femi Otedola is playing the chess game on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. He's a man, he never had it, went to banking school one day in his life, lives in his house in London. Just by selling off his assets in Fort Oil, taking the money, investing it in the Dangote's Vision and Geregu energy plants, Femi sat down in London just by moving his money around, has now been listed on the Forbes list as a billionaire. Femi Otedola has now taken that money and he has used the money to acquire majority stake in First Bank. Never been a banker in his life. He stayed in one place with the deployment of his resources. Femi Otedola is now the chairman of First Bank with the highest. Like, these are the people that I sit down and I look like. Donald Trump, with all the adversities, became I should be in Aso Rock. Why not? Like, I couldn't be bothered about anything right now. Like, the legacy, the goals, the aspirations, huge. I should be on the list, or at least I should be now. If I'm not going to make it to Aso Villa, at least I should be on the Forbes list, and I should be championing a massive cause on a global stage. I don't even consider myself in the Nigerian Forex trading space anymore, with all due respect.
That's right.
We have offices around the world. We have traders globally. We have traders from the Middle East. Our offices in Dubai. Don't even want to be classified as a Nigerian trader anymore. I just want to do my thing and appeal to a bit. Like, why am I fighting with a group of boys? My platforms are global, bro. What am I doing out here fighting? No.
Right.
I should be in London delivering an interview to CNN, CNBC, or Bloomberg. Don't be on Twitter for having a freaking Twitter finger war. I don't have time for that.
I'm literally head full right here, but I want to throw this to you guys. Those of you watching, I know you got a lot of controversial questions, but like, hey, let's watch this podcast. So finally, yes, let's hear him talk, this and all that. If you have any questions you want to ask Dapo Willis, let's see on the comments. He's going to get to them.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that he gets this thing, and I'm going to give textual response, or maybe casually we can do a review session.
We can have a follow-up to this.
Follow-up, yes. Any question you guys have for Dapo Willis, put it on the comments of this video. We'll do a follow-up. We're going to have another episode that's just going to respond to all of these questions. Now, let's get to another critical part, which is collaboration and competition. What's your perspective?
I mean, different strokes for different folks. Collaboration is extremely important. Like they say, if you want to go fast, go alone, go far, go together. I've seen people collaborate in the industry. I just not the type of nigga who likes to really do shit with anybody, because I like to succeed at my own pace, and I like to also fail at my own pace. I don't need anybody's jabba in my ear. I don't like that. Like, I'm an only child, first of all. So I'm used to being alone. I'm used to walking the valleys of the shadows of life and death. So help me God. And Baba God has always pulled me through. You understand what I'm saying? My guardian angels, they guide me through everything. So for me, if I don't have to collaborate, I don't think you really see me collaborating that much. And I just like to maintain my own lane and all that. But for other people, why not collaborate is a brilliant idea. I see a lot of collaborations in the industry. It is fantastic. But for me, I mean, I'm on your podcast, right?
Right.
I will collaborate with you on something that I feel is educational and is going to give value. So it's all about what works for you. Like, if I don't really need what your service is. For example, when we started Willis Capital, we had to partner with Star Trader because they had MT5. But the moment we were able to get our MT5, like, nigga, cut plug, bro.
That's right.
Let's do our thing because we can control our narrative. Handling people and their emotions and their... if we can make it happen, let's make it happen. But I'm not the type to just want to be in the collaborative space all the time. Like, bro, I need to think, my guy. I need to think, I need to work, I need to strategize. I don't really have time for that, bro. So it's just...
That's okay. Okay, let's go to the next section. What's your best advice to beginners out there and struggling traders that have watched this podcast to this particular moment?
Okay, so my advice to struggling traders has always been the same thing. You want to go through whatever it is you're going through, and you want to go through it fast. If you're taking a mentor's class right now, you feel it's the best, do it, attend the classes, put the money in the account, blow the account, and keep it pushing. You want to learn as many things as you can learn fast so that you can then open your mind up to what actually works, which is actually the boring side of trading, which nobody really likes. But until you're done with the excitement phase, you will not appreciate the consistency of the boring side of trading. So finish your excitement. When you're done with that, get to the boring side. That's where the real money is.
Guys, the key word in what he said was FAST, fast. You gotta do it fast. Success loves speed.
You gotta move quick.
Anything that's gonna work or not work, you really gotta find out as soon as
you gotta move quick.
Yes. So we're coming to the end of this podcast. But before we do that, you guys will notice that he's been talking so much about WMarkets, WFunded. Just briefly, tell us about your organizations, your companies, WFunded and
WMarkets. Okay, so WFunded, I'll start with the prop division, was formerly Willis Capital. Willis Capital was founded early 2024. So we founded it, officially launched it early 2024 because at the time we saw that a lot of prop firms were out there and they were destroying traders' lives and traders were just absolutely complaining. So instead of me bashing and complaining, we decided to make a better product, a better prop firm that would focus on actually giving traders a fair opportunity to actually make it out the trenches. Because at the end of the day, you're trying to grow that little money you have into something big. So we founded Willis Capital. After 1 year of business operation, we decided that the company was now bigger than Dapo Willis. So we rebranded from Willis Capital to WFunded with our offices all over the world. So WFunded celebrated 1 year. Within that year, other prop firms collapsed and all that. And to God be the glory, we've been in business for 1 year, 7 months today. Yeah, about 1 year, 8 months. Obviously, I think we're one of the very few prop firms that actually own their own MT5 license. Only WFunded, Funded Next, and FTMO. I don't know of any, or Funding Pips maybe, but we're now officially part of the big three. So if Funded Next, WFunded, FTMO. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's obviously the prop division. We have all the account packages, 2 phase, 1 phase. We're here for the long road. We want to fund your next success story. Once again, don't forget to grab an account down below. It is the easiest prop firm to pass. So that's the prop division.
Absolutely.
Now, after the prop division celebrated 1 year, we looked at the entire business environment and we said to ourselves, okay, I think brokerage is something that we should be able to get into to see what is happening because the operations are quite similar, different but similar. So we're like, all right, cool, let's get into brokerage and see what exactly we can do. And obviously we launched WMarkets in January. I think WMarkets coming on board was actually the best thing that happened for our prop division because with our brokerage division, we were then able to apply for our MT5 license. And recently we've been pre-approved by 4 major internationally and globally recognized regulators. We applied to SISEC and Securities and Exchange Commission in Nigeria, FSC, and all of that. Yes, we have payment gateways that can take payment from anywhere in the world. I always tell them in the office, WMarkets needs to match XNES. You're probably wondering, why am I talking about XNES? Whether we like it or not, XNES is the benchmark.
Right.
They're doing a fantastic job and I cannot take it from them. But it will be a thing of pride and joy for me to see WMarkets. People say, why are you talking about XNES? I'm like, no, they have set a standard. So I tell them in the office all the time, if you can match XNES's energy, forget about if people want to, just give the best product. So we have MT5 platform. We have a phone number you can call at any time. Spreads are the best. All of them are doing just fine. They're standing fit. We have well over 80 people behind the scenes. So we have gone beyond just buy our course. We are now a global platform whereby you can trust us. You can trade with us and hopefully you can make money with us. We want to make money with you. So let's hold your hand and let's guide you into profitability. Click the link down below. and trade with us. You know what I'm saying? You don't go anywhere, click it.
Right. So all the links you need are in the description of this video. For those of you who don't know Dapo Willis yet, you can follow him on social media.
Dapo Willis on Google, you see everything.
So guys, I'm also going to put links in the description of this video like he has requested you to do so. All right, at this point, I want to say a big thank you. All right, a big thank you to Dapo.
Anytime.
Thank you for having him in here.
Anytime.
He's really doing something massive. In fact, I am inspired. I am motivated. And also, I have more ideas.
Yeah.
You know, being at this space with Dapo Willis, it's an honor to have you here and also to have me in this space.
I appreciate you for coming all the way. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you guys for staying with us. Love you guys. One love as well. Don't forget to subscribe. You want to be part of the 1% club, you got to smash the subscribe button. You need to share these videos. And of course, we're giving away a $100,000 WFunded prop account.
Right.
If you obviously share the videos, we'll pick you online and comment down below. This video needs to hit 100,000 views. It's a challenge to you guys. 100,000 views, I will throw in more incentives. How about that?
Let's get it done, guys. You just want to go there, comment and share, like. Do all you got to do so that a lot of people can see this. So guys, this is what I'm going to join the content for today. Let's also know in the comments who you want me to interview on the next episode of the podcast. It only gets more interesting, it gets more exciting. I can't wait to launch another episode of this podcast. Till I see you guys again, my name is Sam Keys and I'm always here to help. So together, I want to say bye.
Bye guys.
Cheers. Have a very great day, guys.